Good luck catching up with Emmitt Smith. His All-Pro Hall of Fame career is over, but he's still on the move.
The life I live, as great as it was, in sports, I come to realize it's kind of a Cinderella world, because I mean, you make this crazy amount of money, you get to play the sport that you absolutely love, and get paid to do it, and people patting you on the back and everything else. Then when it's over, you have to figure out, what do I do next?
He's now a businessman, family man, and almost obsessive bicyclist.
So you slept in, huh?
Yeah. I just hit the ground last night about 9:30.
You're a busy man.
Yeah, I'm tired, bro.
And proving he's more than just another ex-jock, he owns a construction business, brand marketing business, and he is a highly sought-after motivational speaker. Here, trying to build bridges between young people and police.
Where we get a chance to know each other and learn each other and become a friend to one another.
He and his wife Pat take kids under their wings to mentor them. They call it Team 22 after his Cowboys jersey number.
Then we took these kids to the White House, D.C. You got a chance to go to Capitol, meet with senators and congressmen and women. You got a chance to meet the president a couple of different times.
You do a lot more than just writing a check, though.
Yeah, it's more than just writing a check. Definitely more than just writing a check. And so we try to create those unique experiences.
And yes, this does all tie in, cycling and changing lives. What will be an annual charity bike ride will raise money for the Pat and Emmitt Smith charities. They supply school uniforms for kids and have, by his estimate, helped tens of thousands of families.
What we're doing is not about me. It's really about giving back to the kids and taking advantage of the platform so we can help underserved kids achieve and receive experiences that they never otherwise might not even receive.
Whatever he does, Emmitt has learned you've got to do it right. He travels so much he has to squeeze in his time on the bike for intense training. He will not settle for good enough.
This is where the mental fortitude comes in, and you'll learn, I can do this, I can handle this, I know this, I can make it through.
This right here is for our performance training. But I really like to get on the road and ride around and go places, see things.
He does hit the road, and when he does,
we're out riding with Emmitt, and we get a couple honks. It's because people got phones hanging out the window, taking his picture, cheering him on. And I was like, man, how do they recognize you in a cycling helmet, sunglasses, and on a bike? But they do.
They used to see that E. Smith from behind. That's it. Yeah, that looks like his butt.
Ahead, Emmitt unplugged to share the biggest lessons he's learned from football, from life, and what he hopes his legacy will be. Emmitt Smith wants to change young lives for the better, giving kids experiences and opportunities. He hopes inviting a few thousand cyclists to ride with him at his annual event will make that happen.
There are easier ways to raise money for your charity. Like pick up your rich friends and say, write me a check.
At the end of the day, I always have to ask the fundamental question, are you in the charitable business because you want to be charitable and you want to help others, or are you looking for other benefits from Emmitt Smith personally?
The benefits are events like this. Come out and see what's happening, see what your dollars are doing and how they're generating interest from other folks outside of yourself.
And you're getting a lot, you will have eventually thousands of people who will be involved in the event, who will be riding.
That is the hope, that is the goal, is to, if this becomes one of the premier events here in the state of Texas, hopefully it's somewhere between 5,000 to 12,000 people.
You came in late last night, got up early this morning.
Yeah.
You're like one of those guys in the circus spinning plates. You're into real estate,
Yeah.
Brand marketing, personal speaking, motivational speaking, the charity,
Yeah.
family.
Yeah.
How do you keep track of all those spinning plates?
It's not easy, number one. Number two, like anything else in life, you got to have a team that helps support your efforts. Quality people doing quality work and having the ability and the flexibility to do a number of different things. I've never seen a great team become great by one individual. I've seen great teams that have great individuals on them, but the overall team collectively is better than the one individual.
Right.
And that's the way it is in business. I was mentored by a billionaire, multi-billionaire, Jerry Jones himself.
And he, would you call that a mentorship?
Yes.
Not just getting a paycheck
Yes,
from the
not
guy.
just getting a paycheck. It stretched beyond the paycheck. Understanding and having the opportunity to be able to go to your boss and have one-on-one conversations with your boss about, not only about football, but beyond the game, what he does in business, how he conducts it, learning some of his negotiation tactics, how he leverages the Dallas Cowboys and everything else that he does into other areas beyond the game.
So he's got a brand which is the Dallas Cowboys. You've got a brand which is Emmitt Smith.
That's it.
And what's your mission statement for the Emmitt Smith brand?
I would say my mission statement is proven winner, consistency.
Biggest reward out of all the things you've done? Hall of Fame, Super Bowl ring, kids, marriage.
I don't know if I got it yet.
Really?
I don't. Because I think the ultimate reward for any parent is to know that they've done a good job of raising their own and influencing their own in the most positive way.
And does that apply to the kids that you and Pat have mentored as well?
Exactly.
It would be very easy for you to kick back and enjoy retirement and sleep in.
There's no such thing as enjoying retirement. I mean, period. I honestly believe retirement is overrated. People that retire try to figure out what else can I do? How much golf can I play? How many trips can I take? For me, it's like Warren Buffett hasn't retired. He almost 100. He's almost 100. So why should I retire too? I mean, the man is steady going, and he has all the money than we can all imagine. So it's not even about money. It's never about that. It's about the service that we have to humanity.
Hundreds of families can thank him and his wife Pat each year. The two of them are changing lives, and that, says Emmitt, is why he rolls on. The Emmitt Smith ride, called the Gran Fondo, is Saturday, September 17th. It starts at Dr. Pepper Ballpark in Frisco. We've got a link.
Howdy folks, welcome aboard. This is Captain Manno. Glad to have you flying with us today. For now, we'd like you to sit back, relax, and make yourself at home.
I'd like to welcome you aboard American Airlines. Our flying time will be 2 hours and 42 minutes at an altitude of 37,000 feet.
It happens thousands of times every day. You do it, I do it. We love to travel. The destinations are fun. The getting there, not always. And when it comes to who's getting you there, we thought it was time you met Captain Chris Manno. He feels your pain. When he travels on personal time, he drives.
You said you hate airline travel.
Oh, I do. I hate air travel. It's just,
It used to be, and everybody knows this, the classic days, of course that's mythology, but it used to be somewhat of an experience. You went to the airport and you flew, and the trip itself was part of the experience, the flight itself. Now it's mostly utility, and it's more like being on the LA freeway.
Manno's been a commercial airline pilot for 31 years, a captain for 25 plus. He talks straight. He started in the Air Force and then transitioned to flying people. He's serious, but has had his fun on the flight deck, you know, way back in the day.
There may or may not have been a time back in the day when we would turn off all the running lights for a little while and then put them back on, just in random order, because that would probably look suspicious from the ground as far as, the people looking for UFOs, maybe they got a chance to say they saw one. I don't know.
Captain Chris Manno is an interesting man. Not just a pilot, he's also a philosopher, as in PhD. Dr. Chris Manno teaches English at Texas Wesleyan.
It's important to me to have that aspect. It's not mechanical, it's not flight, and I couldn't do without that. But teaching students, reaching students, teaching writing, understanding writing, it's one of the highlights of my life, as much as flying is.
So, wondering what else? Married? Family? Yes. Chris is also an artist. His cartoons have been published. He's been doing it since he was a kid, and frankly, he can't understand why you aren't cartooning too.
It's just one of those things you do, and it's hard to imagine everyone doesn't just draw cartoons. I mean, my style hasn't changed. You either do it or you don't. It's like writing your name, drawing a cartoon is the same thing.
He cartoons about things he knows. Poking the powers that be. Mocking all things mockable.
It's just kind of thinking about how people are always ready and willing to complain. But, in a way, it'd be good if you just waited at least until the airplane moved before you file a complaint.
The cartoons are good, especially when he doesn't pull punches.
So a joke requires a punchline and a laugh, and the cartoon works best if someone else gets it and just thinks it's funny. And a lot of cartoons, maybe only I think it's funny, but it's still that catharsis, as you said. It's funny, it's fun, it's a moment, it's a light moment that you can create, and it's a lot of fun, and you can share.
Okay, that's got to be it, right? Well, I was looking around online, reading Dr. Manno's reviews from his students. One mentioned he played in a band. I did not know that, so I texted him, and voila! These pictures. Lead guitar in Night Flight and drummer and founding member of Nobody's Business. At some point you gotta say, seriously? Come on! Alright, if he's so interesting, why no novel? Done. With a book deal for 2 more.
He is the most interesting man in the world.
Or at least, the most interesting man in the air. Number 1, Chris Manno is a pilot. He loves to fly.
It's the smoothness of it, it's the freedom of it, it's the all 3 axes at once, it's the self-determination that you control this giant metal beast with your fingertips.
He says he's seen just about everything in his 31 years, and he says he feels for passengers.
To be fair to passengers, they're under duress. They're traveling, they're late, it's expensive, they're not prepared.
But as the captain, he's the guy who decides somebody doesn't get to fly.
The funniest time I ever had was a woman got on in Los Cabos and said, there can't be any type of nuts on this airplane because my son will become deathly ill. And I was like, well, okay, let me just call. I called back to headquarters and called the medical people and said, what do you want to do about this? Because we can't guarantee that. And they said, no, deplane the passengers. And then the next thing she's in my face saying, we're not deplaning, we're going. Her husband came up and said, don't listen to her. She didn't know what she's talking about. We're going. And I'm like, I've already called security. So I called security. I expect a couple officers to come out. A big old dump truck pulls up with a bunch of armed troops. It looks like there's a banana republic having a revolution. So I finally just showed the dad, said, I think they're all here for you.
He also understands how bad things happen in the air, and he trains and trains to make sure they never do. Manno has never had an accident or improper outcome. His slate is clean. He talked about this TransAsia plane going down in Taiwan after losing an engine on takeoff.
An old Air Force fighter pilot told us all once, and I've never forgotten it, when anything happens like that, any failure, fire, any emergency, he said, you take a minute to say to yourself, take a deep breath and say, can you believe this son of a bitch is still flying? Meaning, we don't act on impulse, we don't act on reflex, we think about things and do it carefully and follow procedures. You just need to slow down a minute, not to get caught up in the moment or the emotion of it, but let's be as smart as possible, think this through, outthink the problem, and that's what we do.
And in that moment, I believe that the rushing turned off the wrong engine.
As it turns out, the report says he shut down the good engine. There are two engines. One was having a malfunction, probably a fire. And instead of just waiting and clearing the ground and controlling the aircraft, he reached up and shut down what he thought was the failing engine. He shut down the only good engine.
Soon, you'll see and hear a lot about U.S. Airways Captain Sully Sullenberger, who landed a plane in the Hudson. The Tom Hanks movie trailers seem to show Sully being second-guessed on what he did. No second guessing from Manno. Is that realistic, or do you think that's Hollywood?
I would always expect to answer for every single thing I did. And he was using what we call captain's authority, which is granted by the FAA. You can do anything you feel is necessary, and he did. And you'll answer for it, and that's not a problem. We don't have a problem answering for it, and no one in their right mind sees anything other than the success in this. Perhaps they're cultivating that little bit of drama for the movie, but he was a hero and did a wonderful job.
There is one thing he'd change, one thing he thinks might make everything more smooth and more safe.
I believe they should remove alcohol from the airports. I think the one that most pilots enjoy a lot, besides there's a visual approach to LaGuardia, we actually really get to fly the airplane a lot. You're making turns, and Washington, D.C. is the same way. It's beautiful for passengers when you're landing south and you fly by the mall and everything, and it's a real picturesque approach. And for pilots, it's kind of fun. DFW is 13,000 feet. You can land and take off and land again if you wanted to. But these other ones require you to just do your job really well, and we like that. We like the challenge.
Pilot Chris Manno loves to fly. Into D.C., into New York, anywhere. He's good at it, and he knows what matters in the air and what really doesn't. For example, you've heard how dangerous lasers are, right?
We fly over all the time areas that have a searchlight, something, a haunted house or a county fair, and you get it in the face, and it's just not, in my experience, and I only speak for myself, and most of the folks I fly with. And the last time it happened to me at DFW, my first officer said, well, there's that. It's not that big a deal.
Okay. So what about the other scary thing we've heard about, drones?
I'm more concerned with the 40-pound goose than I am somebody's remote control. I just don't see it. I don't see the problem. This whole thing is all bypass.
All right, what does concern the most interesting man in the air? It's passengers. First, he says flying is stressful, and he gets it.
The physical aspects of hydration and nutrition, they don't know, and it's a foreign environment for them. It's kind of like if I go to the dentist, I'm never comfortable. I'm kind of on edge. What's going to happen? So I empathize with passengers, and it's that type of environment. I'm just glad the cockpit door is bolted shut, locked. I'm good.
It's pretty snarky, but probably some truth there. Today's passengers are stressed, and they're getting less and less cooperative.
And you asked about the pet peeve. For me, I think probably the number one is passenger compliance. We've almost evolved in the last 10 years to where passengers have the attitude, I don't have to comply. You put the seatbelt sign on, they may or may not put their seatbelt on. You see the accidents in clear air turbulence where people are hurt wouldn't have been if their seatbelt's on. They just won't do what they're told.
So we're stressed, we're uncooperative, and frequently we're tipsy or worse.
I believe they should remove alcohol from the airports and from flight, but that's not going to happen because of the revenue factor that both the airports and the airlines make. You could eliminate about half of the passenger disturbances if you got rid of alcohol, if you restricted it. I don't think it'll ever happen. But it's sad that we really could avoid a lot of in-flight disturbances if there was no alcohol at the airport or on the aircraft.
All right, got it. Try not to stress, follow instructions, don't overindulge, and short of all that, just try to remember your flight number.
The best tip that I keep giving people, and most people don't even know, when you're in the airport, everybody's fumbling around looking, where's my gate, where's my flight? If you simply Google your flight number, all the information will come up. If you say, I need to know where flight 227 is, you just Google flight 227 with the airline's name. It's going to show you the gate, the time, and the delays or anything.
There is something happening now about it's rude to recline your seat. What is that about?
Well, it's almost a cultural thing, and I disagree. If the person in front of you lowers their seat, I guess I'm going to have to lower mine, but that is the personal space, and you have such little choice in the airline. You got to let people lower their seat if that's what they want to do.
But that is out there, right?
It is. It's kind of a cultural thing. Oh, you're kind of a jerk if you say, well, no, then lower your seat. Most of the seats nowadays, though, it lowers a little bit, but it moves the bottom forward. So it's the illusion that you just reclined your seat, but you really didn't. But no, I think it's personal space. We have such little personal choice and control. It's like you got to let people recline their seat.
So who is this guy anyway? This pilot, philosopher, PhD holding cartoonist who teaches university English and plays guitar and drums.
Kind of snarky,
Yeah.
funny,
Runs in the family.
and you have a lot of interesting avocations.
Yeah.
So what's that about?
Well, it's like I tell my students, if you want to have a full life, you're going to be busy. You're going to be tired. But there's so much to life that I didn't want to miss out on the literature part.
You have a good life.
Oh, I think so. I'm very fortunate to have a good life. I'm tired a lot because I teach and fly, but yeah, it's a good life.
Life is good.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Advice to others to have a good life? I mean,
well, I don't think you should ever hold back. That's the thing. People say, I don't think I could go to grad school. I don't think, no, nonsense. It took a lot of transition to be 40 years old starting a PhD, but you're there, and all of a sudden your life is full again. And whatever it is you think you need to do that. I don't believe in the whole concept of a bucket list. To me, is foolish. As if to say you could say there are 3 or 4 things I could do to fulfill my life. That's just nonsense. Whatever you see, whatever is your passion, you just do it. You don't mark it off. It's the difference between saying the rosary and counting the beads. Don't make a list. Just do and live what you need to do. That's the fulfilling way to do it. And you're going to be tired. There's not enough rest.
For past moments and more, subscribe to our YouTube page. We are Fox 4 News.
They're getting ready to ride the 20-mile Emmitt Smith Hall-of-Fame round.
Give you one quick shoulder roll, rotate your shoulders, reset the spine, reset the chin, reset the chest, flex the elbows, and 4, 3, 2, 1. Keep your speed the same.
Okay, you're sweating a little bit, huh?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Probably more than all 3 of you combined.
No, not at all.
1.5, man.